Hello, for this month of August on Pixie Art Studio, we are going to review in our book share for August 2026 a book on Keith Haring. It's called Haring by Alexandra Colosa, and it's by Taschen. The book publishers are Taschen, which is a pretty famous book publisher. So here we have the book, and in the opening pages, as we see a picture of Keith Haring and his artwork, and it's called A Life for Art. He was born in 1958 and he died in 1990. He died basically at 31 of AIDS. And here's some of his work, some faces with triple eyes. He's pretty famous for these cartoon faces. And there's a couple of chapters on his art, on how he learned to begin his art, on commerce and sexuality and sex, and the finale, and Keith Haring in a review on his work. And he liked to use Mickey as, Disney and those cartoons in his artwork, and the faceless people, which he did a lot of. A key figure was Keith Haring in New York art world of the 1980s. His pop sensibilities were the use of pop sensibilities and cartoon elements, as we see here. And he grew up with cartoons and comics. He was a trained artist, but he dropped out of art school. And as we see here, some of his work. He's known for the baby and the dog, the barking dog. Those are some of his iconic themes that we see throughout his artwork that he reproduced over and over. He grew up with cartoons and comics, like I said, and he's known for subway art and graffiti, but not really graffiti, but more subway art. But he adored graffiti. He was also known for being in the New York club and party scenes and the gay scene. And he used mass advertising as a tool to produce some of his art. Here are some of his cartoons. And here he is in the subway of the 1980s, drawing on those black advertising tarps. He used to use those as a backdrop for drawing in chalk on them. Here's his chalk drawings, and that's what made him famous and grew his fame. He was known, like I said, for iconic baby and barking dog. And he had a repertoire of content. Love, happiness, joy, sex, and also violence, abuse, and oppression. He believed in the power and ability of art to change the world. Street kids were his friends. Often current affairs were his subjects. So he grew up in Kutztown, Pennsylvania, the oldest of four and the only boy. His artistic sensibility were encouraged by his father, and awareness of his own social homosexuality, something he was aware of. And he studied for 2 semesters in Pittsburgh Art College, then moved to New York, studied at SVA School of Visual Arts. Here are some of his more iconic themes. He did murals as well. He was friends with Kenny Scharf, and he shared an apartment with him together. They made acquaintances with Jean-Michel Basquiat, at the time also popular. He frequented bars, clubs, bathhouses, the gay scene at night, and he was fascinated by graffiti. Being bored with the art in art school, he took to the streets and drew in white chalk on black paper, the black tarp, and the black advertising tarp, and on subway ads. Here is his artwork in Times Square. In 1982, Tony Shafrazi became his New York art dealer, and they made a first exhibition show together. His subjects were Walt Disney figures, as you can see here, some of the figures, cartoons, the Big Bad Wolf, Cruella de Vil, the Dalmatians, which are also a pretty famous cartoon from Walt Disney. He became popular for his first exhibition show, and subjects were the Walt Disney figures, cartoons, and fairy tales. Later, he worked in vinyl ink on vinyl tarpaulin to draw large scale so the ink doesn't run on that tarpaulin. That's why he used that. He became popular on his own, not through his art community, not on his own rather, but not through the art community. He had a mass clientele through the commercialization of his works as a mass commodity. Much like, guess who? Andy Warhol. And in 1986, he sold posters and t-shirts in his pop shop, selling products with his designs. So he used Andy Warhol and his commercialization of products as an example. His art was imbued with sexual and religious motifs, subjects of drug abuse, and political motifs. And then in the mid-'80s, AIDS became rampant. As you can see here, he did posters for Stop AIDS, Safe Sex. So sex was no longer safe, and Haring got AIDS by the end of January 1990, and Haring's condition deteriorated visibly. And as you can see here, some of the religious themes and sex themes. A lot of sexualization themes. So his condition got really, really bad, and it deteriorated. And by the end of January 1990, Haring's condition was visible. And he died in 1990 of AIDS. As you can see here, he was drawing skeletons towards the end. Here he is with Andy Warhol. Some themes towards the end of his life. The mural here. He drew, there he is here. As a young kid. Drawing on murals and walls in the subway. On art. And that's it. That's our end of our book. And here is Andy Warhol. With a spray can, no less. So that was our August book share. If you're interested in getting something on Keith Haring, I hope this inspired you. And I do this monthly on Pixie Art Studio. And you can visit my website at www.pixieartstudio.com if you're interested in seeing more. And my Patreon as well. Bye.